on our shores with reports of flooding in some areas of Masvingo province. To provide us with more insight into the weather fluctuations, we're joined by James Ngoma, Chief Forecaster from the Met Department. Good evening, James. Thank you for joining us here on News Plus. What's the expected duration of the rainfall?
Thank you very much for that question. We were having generally sunny skies over much of the country for the past few days. But however, as we got into the weekend, we had moisture that drifted in over the southeastern parts of the country, and it affected Manicaland province as well as Masvingo into Matabeleland South, where we had significant falls for much of the weekend. Those rainfalls are expected to persist for a bit of time, where we're expecting them to be pushed into the northern parts, covering mostly along the main watershed, where we're expecting significant falls for much of this week. With that, we expect also over the north, the ITCZ to infiltrate the northern parts of the country, covering Mashonaland provinces, including Matabeleland North. So for much of this week, we're expecting a generally wet week for most of the northern provinces. A few dry spells cannot be ruled out over the extreme south because of the drying effect of these winds that are pushing moisture into the interior of the country.
So, James, what are the implications for agricultural producers?
So for the general farmer, this is welcome news in terms of the rainfall forecast, where we're still projecting a bit more rain across board, especially over the northern areas. And the south received quite an adequate amount of water, with most of the dams to full capacity at the moment. So in terms of irrigation prospects, much of Masvingo, Matabeleland South is in the green zone, where most of the dams are near 100% in terms of capacity. The northern half, where we're still expecting a bit more rain, should also get their dams filling up. So most of our rivers are currently flowing towards most of our major dams, and we still expect a bit more rains as we get into the rest of this week.
And your comments on some of the flooding happening in some parts of the country?
In terms of the system that was apparent over the southeastern parts, we had very significant falls over much of Matabeleland South and Masvingo, as well as Manicaland. Some of the rainfall amounts were above 100 millimeters in areas such as Chimanimani, where we received about 148 millimeters in a space of 24 hours, and also 107 over in Makoli in Masvingo, as well as 93 into Masvingo itself. Into Shishawan, we received about 106. Into Matabeleland South areas such as West Nicholson, we received about 94 millimeters. So quite significant falls fell over the southern parts of the country. And with that, we already had a number of dams that were already full. So this excess rain went into the rivers, and that caused significant floods to occur. Some bridges were washed away in a number of areas. So we still advise the public not to try to attempt to cross any rivers, even if they don't know the actual depth of the rivers, because some of them as little as 30 centimeters of rainfall in terms of depth can wash away even a large truck or vehicle. So in terms of pedestrians, we still advise the public that as children go to school, please watch over them and ensure that they are safe both in going and also coming back from school.
Thank you, James, for sharing that insight with us here on News Plus. Now, 73-year-old Coletta Madzimbamoto is venturing into her first ever business, fish farming. The Deputy Minister of Agriculture,